Morgan, got a treat for you today. Joining me now is our good friend from Minnesota, House Majority Whip, Tom Emmer. Tom, great to have you with us, Mr. Minority Whip. You're on with John Fredericks on our bus tour, and the one and only Morgan Griffith, your colleague in the House. Great to have you, Tom.
It's great to see you, John Fredericks, and you've got one of my favorite colleagues, one of the smartest, most effective members of Congress, Morgan Griffith, with you. It's good to see you this morning, Morgan.
Good to see you, Tom.
So we were just talking, Tom, before we get into the shutdown and the auto pen that your colleague James Comer is now going to investigate. We were talking about Barack Obama, and he's the only president that never left Washington, ever. In fact, Ann and I had dinner and had the opportunity to interview the EU ambassador to the United States. So we went to her residence, which is in that section there. And she said, hey, you guys probably don't know, but living next to me, I live next to Barack Obama. So we walked out there and she showed us huge home, a mansion. And so like, he's still there. Like, why is he there? Like, why didn't he go off to, I don't know, Martha's Vineyard or Hawaii or something? He's still
Chicago.
Or Chicago. Well, nobody wants to go to Chicago. That's one of the issues. So Tom Emmer with us with Morgan Griffith. So yesterday, James Comer, one of your colleagues, head of that oversight committee, says he's going to do a full investigation on this auto pen. And now they have new evidence coming out that Joe Biden, his mental capacity was worse than was reported. What are you guys doing with this? What's the plan?
Well, first off, this is more evidence of the corruption of the mainstream media, John. Morgan and I could have told you this guy had major problems in the first 12 months that he was in office. I mean, we literally saw him in the halls at times with people leading him where he needed to go and trying to help him get to where he needed to go. Kevin McCarthy, when he was Speaker, came back and told us that if he couldn't read his notes, he lost where he was. So we've known this for a long time. What we're finding out now is just downright scary. Literally, this country was governed by an auto pen for the better part of 4 years. Who was running that pen, John? We live in an elected representative government, not faceless bureaucrats who already take advantage of us with the rulemaking process through these federal agencies. But this was the President of the United States. Someone or a group of people, presumably these woke lefties that occupied the Biden White House, were in charge of that auto pen. And frankly, we need to end this shutdown, not just to get America moving again, John, but to continue this great work that people like Jamie Comer and his committee have been doing. Because, look, if all those pardons that were issued were done by an auto pen, they should not be legal. I'm not going to play a judge and jury here, but it just seems it defies common sense that you can have a president in the office, an executive, who probably has no idea what that darn pen is doing. Somebody else is directing it, and those can't stand. So this work needs to get done. But among many other things, as Morgan knows, we're on day 29. We got to open this government back up. The Democrats got to stand down, open the government back up, and let us all get back to work.
What are your Democrat colleagues and Democrat leadership? What are they telling you? What are they saying? What have you heard?
The Democrat leadership is completely off the rails. If you talk about the Senate, you've got Chuck Schumer, who, frankly, he's never running again. This is he's like an aged athlete. He's someone who is past his prime. He knows he's all done. This is just a feeble old man who's afraid of losing his leadership position before the end of his term expires. Everybody talks about Ms. Ocasio-Cortez running against him. That young lady's got about as much substance as is a warm summer breeze, John. She is not going to be running against Schumer in a primary because he won't be there. On the House side, I mean, it's crazy. Hakeem Jeffries has become basically a cartoon character. He's traveling around the country trying to bolster up his leadership position because he's likely not going to be the minority lead come the next Congress, too. And then you listen to Catherine Clark. Boy, here's a gem. She talks about causing suffering on the American people, whether it's the air traffic controllers that didn't get a paycheck yesterday, TSA, Custom Border Patrol, Capitol Police right here in Washington, D.C., or the 42 million low-income Americans who are about to have their SNAP benefits interrupted, which includes the 820,000 or so that you have in Virginia. Plus, I didn't even mention all the federal workers you have in Virginia. But Catherine Clark, leadership in the Democrat House minority, says this is the only leverage we have, John, is hurting all of these people. That's what we're hearing from their leadership.
Why can't the Department of Agriculture accrue the money to fund the SNAP cards for this month?
Because you've got a parliamentarian sitting right next to you and a constitutional expert in Morgan Griffith, and he will tell you that the funds that they all think we should be able to tap into, and I think it's like $5 or $6 billion. Those funds are allocated in such a way that you don't have that kind of flexibility, unlike the funds that the president is accessing in other places, for instance, to pay the troops. So it's a legal issue. You got to talk to some of the people who've done the analysis, John, to tell you why you can't. I know people are going to try to challenge it, but that's been the decision so far.
Well, we got the congressman here that knows about it. Morgan?
Well, the bottom line on this is that you do have some funds, and maybe you could figure out a way to rearrange it. The funds wouldn't last very long, but we generally save those funds, and that's what they're allocated for. They're not there as surplus. They're there as a reserve for a situation where you have a natural disaster. So if you have, like Jamaica's being hit right now by a hurricane, if you had a hurricane hitting U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we wouldn't then have any funds to take care of that. That's what that money was appropriated for. That's why it's sitting there. It's not sitting there to take care of Democrats who are shutting down the government with a clean CR. It's not there for those situations. And so it's a real dilemma, and it's hard for folks like me who feel very strongly that if we want to create a different system for providing food for the most needy in the country, that's fine. But just shutting it off, that's not fine. We're going to have hungry children. And I would love to be able to use those monies. But if we do that, we're violating the intent and the purpose for which that money was set aside to be there for a natural disaster. And if the Democrats can guarantee me that in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, we don't know how long they're going to keep this up, that there will be no natural disasters in the United States, could we figure out some way to do it? Well, maybe, but not while we're in a government shutdown. So, if we were in D.C., if they get rid of the government shutdown, we wouldn't have this problem to begin with. And if we weren't in a government shutdown and we had some kind of an emergency where we needed to tap into those funds, Congress could make that decision. But without Congress making that decision directly, we can't take it away from that fund that's there for the emergencies, not for disaster relief and not for the situation caused by the Democrats in the United States Senate.
Hey, John, just adding on to what Morgan just said, that's over 300 children are going to be impacted in the state of Virginia. And by the way, Morgan, the Democrats...
300,000.
300,000, I'm sorry, I misstated it. Morgan, I was going to point out the Democrats in Congress, especially in the Senate, who have shut our government down, they are a disaster, but I would say they're an unnatural disaster, and that's why it doesn't fit the definition.
You're right. It's for natural disasters, not political disasters.
Amen.
Incredible.
And Tom, I got to tell you, we're very proud of our Governor, Glenn Youngkin. Glenn actually found Virginia money because he had set aside money and didn't let the Democrats in the legislature spend it all. And so he is, out of Virginia funds, going to be able to cover our hungry children. But I worry about the other 49 states.
Mine. I've got the worst governor in the country. He's competing with everybody, but he's already won. He's not going to help our kids and our low-income families. He's going to blame Trump.
So Walsh isn't going to do what Glenn Youngkin did and find a way to fund those SNAP cards with your money that is around Minnesota. He's not going to do it.
He doesn't have Glenn Youngkin's acumen. He's not a very bright human being. He's not competent. He's corrupt, and you've seen it on national TV. He lies about everything, even something as dumb as when he was at Tiananmen Square. And John, his answer when he's caught on national TV lying to the American people is, "Oh gosh, I grew up in a small town, and sometimes I'm a bit of a knucklehead." We have a knucklehead for a governor. You've had a champion for a governor. And by the way, that's why I love your victory bus tour, John, because Morgan knows this. He and I served with Abigail Spanberger. You want pro-family policies, you want pro-freedom policies to continue, the same ones that you've seen for 4 years under Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. You do not want Abigail Spanberger. You need to elect Winsome Earl Sears. She was right there with the governor while they were doing all that work the last 4 years. And Abigail Spanberger, she's on the Marxist side of the party, whether people believe it or not. She tries to hide it, but you got her in a debate, Morgan. Somebody did when they asked her about boys and girls sports. She apparently doesn't have a problem. Abigail Spanberger doesn't, having young girls have to be in dressing rooms with young men. It's insane.
Well, and it's worse than that, Tom. If you've been in private conversations like I have, she is all on board on that. That's part of her belief, and she believes that having transgender surgery for minors is absolutely all right, even if the parents are being excluded from some of the decision-making process in the beginning phases of a child going transgender. She defended that in a meeting with other Virginia congresspeople and was dropping F-bombs, but apparently that's fairly common for her now.
So you're talking about that. You were actually in a Virginia caucus.
We were in a Virginia delegation meeting with Governor Glenn Youngkin, and Bob Good brought up transgender surgeries. Actually, Jennifer Wexton brought it up first, and then Bob Good said, "I think this is a form of child mutilation to have a child making the decisions on these kinds of things." And I'm summarizing, and then Abigail Spanberger interrupted.
Good. She interrupted
Good. She interrupted Bob Good and went on a tirade about how essentially, when you boil it down, she dropped an F-bomb, maybe two, and then she said, "This is not mutilation, it's health care."
Unbelievable. Healthcare. Change your sex at 9 years old, and it's healthcare.
It's a crime.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Somebody wants to weigh in. I know we got a lot. 888-480-JOHN. You can call 888-480-5646. Tom, we've asked this question to everybody. I'm about 0 for 15. I've asked 14 other elected representatives, Congress and Senate, on the Republican side. We're trying to get this answer. You might be the one, even though you're a Twins fan, you might be the one. What is the Democrats' end game? What is their vision of this ending? I mean, it can't go on in perpetuity. We're not going to cave. They're not going to get $1.5 trillion for illegals. What is their end game here?
Well, it's interesting. I've said several times over the last couple of weeks that they should have read the book on shutdowns, John. Republicans wrote it. Federal government shutdowns, when you try to use a federal government shutdown to leverage your policy priorities from the minority, It doesn't end well. And by the way, Morgan knows this. If you're going to go into something like this, and this isn't just a government shutdown, but you better figure out what your exit strategy is before you do it. They did this, and they don't have an exit strategy. I kind of think the thing started to break. There were some smoke signals being sent last weekend by our air traffic controllers. A couple of major airports had some significant delays. I think those were a forecasting of what is to come. People might remember back in 2019 when the government was shut down, a group of air traffic controllers didn't show up for work one day and essentially shut down the LaGuardia airport. And guess what? The shutdown was done pretty quickly after that. The reality is this. Up till now, most Americans haven't noticed and haven't been impacted by the fact the government's been shut down. This week, it's becoming very real. I mean, it would have been last month, but God bless the president, Donald Trump and his administration found money to pay our servicemen and women. That's not guaranteed again this time, although I understand they think they might have a way to do that. But guess what? You had the largest federal government employee union send a letter earlier this week. Out of the 1.4 million federal employees, they represent 820,000, and they directed the government should reopen. Vote for the clean CR and reopen government. I think these things, John, are the beginning of the end. I don't know. I can't tell you if these guys are insane enough to harm Americans over the next 3-4 weeks and let it get worse and worse and worse. I can't tell you they won't. But if history is any indication, the thing's starting to deteriorate this week. When Jared Golden, the lone Democrat from Maine who voted for the CR in the House, when Morgan and I and our group passed it and sent it over to the Senate, when he says a couple days ago he just can't keep lying about the strategy that they have, it starts to give you an idea. Although you've got two insane senators, especially Tim Kaine. I mean, he thinks people aren't they're going to buy this garbage when he says, well, I don't want to vote for it and then have the administration cut a whole bunch of federal jobs and have people tell me that, oh, you knew that was going to happen. Come on, Tim. People aren't that stupid. They see through that. Open the government. Let Morgan and I and you and your people get back to the negotiating table and actually resolve our real differences. I think it's going to be over very, very soon, within the next couple of weeks at the worst, because I really believe what you're going to see is air traffic controllers, John, didn't get a paycheck yesterday. That's the first paycheck that they've missed. I believe it's this Saturday that 42 million Americans, low-income Americans, will have their, in many states, maybe Virginia's an exception, but you can put that number on it, they're going to realize what this is. So in other words, it's about to become very real for very many Americans. And because of that, Morgan and I are on the right side of this thing. We did our job. We voted to keep the government open, to support all of these benefits that people expect to get from government. And you've got, we need 7 senators over on the other side because of the filibuster rule. It takes just a simple majority in the House. It takes 60 in the Senate, which means we got to have Democrats. And right now, Chuck Schumer is not allowing that to happen.
Well, you had when you tried to pay the military, you had the 2 Georgia senators come over, Warnock and Ossoff. Ossoff's in a tough battle. He'll spend $200 million trying to retain that seat. But they voted. But then they didn't vote. Then they're still voting to shut it down. Like they don't make any sense. Nothing they do makes sense. So we're just trying to figure out. But you're right. There's no end game. I remember, I would tell the story going to the Capitol Club after the Cruz shut down. Remember when Ted Cruz was reading like Sesame Street to his children or something? I remember going there and I was at the bar with somebody and might have been Scott Ridgel or something. I was at the bar and Boehner was there, your former speaker. And, you know, he had a big glass of red wine because that's what Boehner did. And I remember asking him, I'm like, what, you know, and it finally ended. And I'm like, what was the purpose of this? And he said, he said to me, I have to say this on the air because this is a quote. He said, Ted Cruz is a miserable son of a bitch, and he never had an exit plan, and he basically wasted 2 weeks of my time. But that's it. You didn't have an exit plan, and then you just caved. And like, what was the point of it, right? So that's what Boehner said.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
It's going to happen again, John. There's no alternative. There is nothing, as our speakers said over and over, there's nothing more we can give them. You know, the sad part of this story, and Morgan, I think, is aware of this, very well aware of this, is that the Democrats asked us for this clean CR. The White House wanted it to go into next year, and the Democrats told our leadership, Republican leadership, don't do that. Send us a clean CR that's short-term. That's
what you did.
They voted against it. We should have seen it coming when only one Democrat voted with us in the House. We should have seen this coming.
You're on the John Fredericks Media Network, trucking the truth across America, and great to have everybody with us. This is day 3 of the Victory VA bus tour. Go to victoryva.com. Joining us is Minority Whip of the...
Don't put me in the minority.
I said that again. It's like House Majority Whip Tom Emmer. Thank you, Tom. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, and also a member of the Freedom Caucus and member of my favorite committee that's going to get the AM radio bill passed in every car, Morgan Griffith, Republican. Let's take a phone call. We got Rob in Richmond, line 1. Rob, you're on with the House Majority Whip Tom Emmer and Morgan Griffith. Rob in Richmond, Virginia. Go ahead, Rob.
Good morning, Mr. Fredericks and gentlemen. Ben Franklin said, I am for doing good to the poor, but I differ in opinion about the means. I think the best way to do good for the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but by leading and driving them out of it. My point is that what we need to do after we get through this nonsense that the Democrats are putting us through, and after we get through this election, and once again, we've got to take and get Winsome Earl Sears elected, and along with everybody else, and flip the Virginia House of Delegates and hopefully the Senate. What we need to do is that under the biblical principle, yes, I am my brother's keeper. Yes, I am a good Samaritan. I will take care of those that have a medical need, disability, and this and that and the other, and I have no problem helping those people out for the rest of their lives. However, I am going to take and give you a fish. But while I give you that fish each and every single day, I am going to take you out and I am going to teach you to fish. So after we get through all of this,
Rob. Thank you. We got it. I mean, basically, what you've got here is this is amazing. 15%, right? 42 million. 15% of Americans are now on EBT cards, food stamps. And I don't think there's not a mechanism to make that go away. People become dependent on it. When you give them a benefit like that, it factors into how they live, and you just can't take it away. My question is, one governor said, I'm going to fund it. What about the other 40 now? We got all these other Republican governors. Where are they? Morgan.
Well, unfortunately, in many states, and I can't speak to the particulars of every state, in many states, they don't have any spare cash, and they've spent it all. And particularly in the Democrat states, they spend more than they've got, and they just don't have the revenues available. One of the things that Youngkin did that was very good last year is because the Virginia governor has the ability to redline items in the budget bill itself, he refused to allow the Democrats to spend some of that money and kept it in the Virginia Treasury for purposes, to be used in the future, and that means he has the money available to take care of Virginia when we have this situation. Not every state has that, and not every state has that cooperation with their governor and the Republicans in the state legislature who refused to allow a veto override on that. And so he was able to say, no, we're not going to spend all this money. And so not everybody
not every state has the didn't put away the rainy day fund or whatever you want to call it, the resources, Tom Emmer, in order to do that. Minnesota, of course, being one of them. But then there's also, even if states has it, right, you got Democratic governors that don't want to do it because our view has been for the last week is they want people to suffer. And your colleague from Massachusetts said that on TV.
No, that's right. And remember, Rob left out Ronald Reagan. This debate's been going on for several decades. I think it was Reagan that said a hand up, not a handout, right? And I would disagree, John. I think there are ways to start to wean society off this. Democrats' idea was to make everybody beholden to the federal government, make them their subjects. So they've expanded all these programs exponentially to people who, quite frankly, could get into the workforce. And Morgan and I did something with our Republican colleagues and President Trump this summer to start the process to wean people off, able-bodied, working-aged adults who should be in the workforce. You can create reasonable work requirements. In fact, I think the ones we did this summer, Morgan, were more than reasonable. To give people a chance, they can stay on the benefits if they show that they're looking for work, if they show that they're in school full-time, those types of things. But if you don't, well, then you should get into the workforce. And by the way, it's going to be much better for your soul, believe me, if you're working and supporting yourself. In my state, I got a governor who's he took an $18 billion surplus about 4 years ago, John. He blew through it, added an additional $9 billion in new taxes and fees. And guess what? Minnesota's headed for a $5 billion shortfall. So to Morgan's point, a lot of these states, and I would argue the Democrat-run states who are mismanaged, these people are incompetent, they don't understand business, they don't care about the bottom line because they believe your money is theirs. And a state like Minnesota, hopefully we're going to see major change in a year.
Tom Emmer, I want to thank you for being with us. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer with us. Tom, thank you. Love your staff. Love working with your team. They're great. So thank you for that. But Tom, before you go, I just have something I want to show you on the bus here that I want to show you this time. Hey, Tom, I just want to show you this here. I don't know if you can see it. This is my Houston Astros banner here. Yeah. Sorry we always beat your Twins, but I figured, Tom comes on, World Series is going on. Of course, I stopped watching baseball as soon as my team is out, but just thought you might want to see my Astros banner here. We did win 2 World Series.
So you're tied with the Minnesota Twins. We both won 2. We'll wait to see who wins the next. The great news about our relationship, John, that Morgan should know is we both hate the Yankees.
We both hate the Yankees. Both of us, unbeknownst to each other, actually popped champagne when the Yankees got eliminated. I mean, that's sick. We have a sick bond between us. Because he's like, yeah, my son and I popped the champagne with my son's a Yankee fan. I popped the champagne. I'm like, that's the same thing I did. Like, we had this champagne in there only for special occasions. As soon as the Yankees got beat, I took it out and popped it. And was like, what's the occasion? I said the Yankees just got eliminated. Yeah. So we have that in common. Yeah. Tom Emmer, thanks for being with us. Morgan Griffith, thanks for being with us. Delois, hang in there. We'll get to you when we get back from the break. Majority Whip Tom Emmer. Soon to be the what comes after Majority Whip, right? But Majority Leader, right? Soon to be Majority Leader. Soon to be Speaker.
Doing our job. Morgan, see you back at the ranch as soon as these goofballs open it up. Thanks for all the work you and all the other members are doing in your districts trying to help the people that they're hurting. John, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Morgan.